What's really been happening with real estate prices in Whistler over the past 5 years? Are we still climbing? Have we hit a peak? Or are things finally cooling off? If you've been thinking about buying or selling a property in Whistler, or even if you're just trying to keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on in the market, this video is for you. Today, we're taking a clear, no-fluff look back at 5 years of pricing trends here in Whistler, and more importantly, I'll help you understand what it all means moving forward so you can make the smartest possible decisions. My name's Dean Linnell. I help buyers and sellers confidently navigate the Whistler real estate market with zero guesswork. I've been doing this for nearly 30 years, and if there's one thing I've learned, it's that this market doesn't follow the same rules as Vancouver. Whistler is its own ecosystem, and that's what makes it so fascinating and so valuable when you know how to read it. All right, let's rewind the clock to 2019. That year felt pretty balanced. We'd already come off the rocket fuel growth of 2016 and 17, and by 2019, things had settled into a slower, more sustainable rhythm. Inventory was fairly tight, demand was steady, and prices were inching up, not spiking, but holding strong. If you were buying a home or a phase one condo back then, you were getting in just before the market would change in a big way. Then came 2020. We all know what happened next. The pandemic hit, and overnight everything shifted. Cities emptied out, remote work became the norm, and Whistler went from vacation destination to must-have escape hatch. That wave of demand was like nothing we'd ever seen. People weren't just buying investment properties anymore, they were moving their lives here. Inventory vanished, bidding wars became super common, and prices surged. I personally had 35 buyer clients who purchased Whistler properties in 2019 alone and saw their property values jump by 20, 30, even 40% within just 2 years. Fast forward to late 2022 and into 2023, and that momentum started to cool. Interest rates began rising, which naturally pushed some buyers to the sidelines. The markets didn't crash, but it did take a deep breath. We started seeing longer days on market, fewer multiple offer situations, and a noticeable slowdown in phase 2 hotel condo sales, and even in the high-end luxury chalet market. Townhomes remain relatively resilient, but even those saw some softening compared to the frenzy of the previous 2 years. Now here in 2025, we've officially entered a new phase, stability with a side of strategy. Prices aren't falling too much, maybe 5 to 10% depending on the area, but they're no longer climbing like they used to either. What's really happening is that the market has become more discerning. Buyers are pickier, sellers have to be sharper. The homes that are priced well and marketed properly, they're still moving, but the ones that aren't, they're sitting. So what does all this mean for you? If you're a buyer, this is actually a great moment to enter the market. You're not competing with as many other buyers. You've got room to negotiate, and in many cases, you can avoid the kind of bidding wars that were the norm just a couple of years ago. Whistler is a long game market. And if you're looking 5, 10, or 20 years out, this kind of calm is exactly when the smartest buyers make their move. And a lot of the sellers are really quite willing to negotiate right now. And if you're thinking of selling, the key is positioning. You can't just toss a property onto the market and expect it to sell in a weekend anymore. It's about strategy, presentation, and pricing that reflects where the market is now and not where it was at the peak. I help my clients zero in on exactly what today's buyers are looking for, and we use that insight to craft a listing that actually moves the needle. Now, let me give you one quick example. One of my clients from Toronto had been holding onto a 2-bedroom phase 1 condo in the village, which they'd owned for about 14 years. During the pandemic, they were getting rental income like crazy and watching the value climb month over month. But by late 2023, they were ready to sell and nervous that they might have missed a window. We did a pricing strategy that positioned the property just under where the market was trending, invested in great listing photos, a pro walkthrough video for YouTube, and a targeted marketing push, and it sold within 10 days. Now, it's not the pandemic peak, but still well above what they paid with zero regrets. That's the power of knowing how to read this market. So, here's the bottom line. Whistler isn't Toronto or Vancouver. It's not driven by the same metrics or buyer psychology. It's a lifestyle market with limited inventory, global demand, and a reputation that only gets stronger over time. The buyers here aren't just buying square footage, they're buying access to a 4-season mountain resort lifestyle that they can't get anywhere else in Canada. And if you're trying to make sense of what your specific Whistler property is worth or what kind of deals might be hiding in plain sight right now, reach out. I'll give you the honest truth, not the sales pitch. And speaking of smart timing, if you're thinking about buying or selling in Whistler, there's one detail that can make or break your deal, which is the zoning type. Phase 1 versus Phase 2. Most people don't realize how different they are and how much they affect your ability to use, rent, and even sell your property. So before you make a move, you'll want to watch this video next. I'll break down the key differences between Phase 1 and Phase 2 zoning in Whistler and what sellers specifically need to know to price right. Market smart and avoid getting stuck. Click over and I'll see you there.